All right. Today we have Solomon on. If you guys don't know, Solomon just literally won recently last year, this time, 24 months now, 12 months. 12 months ago, Solomon won the Australia Classic Physique for Masters
Masters and true novice.
and True as well. So you won both titles. And that was your first time up on stage too.
First time that lean, first time on stage, first time for a few things, yeah.
So basically, I want to share the fact how I first met you. This was easily over 10 years ago.
I think it's actually 10 years now, yeah. Could
Well, 2015, 2016. Shit. Okay. So, and I remember seeing you walking in, I think back then it was Go Health in Springwood, and you were just a beast, and you were like solid. You could see you had genetics, and you even approached me, and I was like, "Fuck, that dude's like a gentle giant," because you have this presence, but you're also so social, so down to earth and grounded. And then we became friends purely because we found out we were from the same place, South Africa. Except you lived in the beautiful part. Johannesburg is nice, but Cape Town's the place to be. So tell us a little bit about growing up in South Africa.
Cape Town's definitely the place to be. It's the party capital of Africa, and where everyone pretty much all around the world goes to party. Yeah, the party capital, yes, as of late. Yes. But back then, it was mostly Cape Townians and all the Northerners, Joburgers, Durbanites who came to party. Yeah, beautiful place to grow up. But I grew up off the beaten track in a much lower socioeconomic area. As everyone knows, South Africa was a very segregated country, and for the most part, it's still segregated, but more so now, socioeconomic segregation, where poor people still live in the townships that were built in apartheid, and yeah, so still kind of very much certain racial groups live in certain areas because they just always lived there. So those who could afford to move out obviously moved out, and those who could move abroad did so.
So a lot of people escaped abroad, couldn't move. But I think back then, I remember growing up during that transition, and I was finishing year 12. And that's when the Rugby World Cup was on and Mandela became president. And my parents were from Mozambique.
Yeah.
So coming to South Africa for us, it wasn't like a massive shift. The segregation was obviously by that stage when we were in high school was kind of like dissolving at that stage. And there was an amalgamation. But I also find that as much as there was the positivity and the changes, that the evidence in the classes was more obvious. Violence wasn't a racial thing, it was more of a survival thing because there was a lot of things that broke down during apartheid. And one of them was actually the ability that I believe to help a lot of the minority groups with the responsibilities that came with the changeover of the times. So a lot of people find themselves struggling. Everything costs more. And they have to look after themselves more, pushed into the deep end and having to measure up. So back then, I actually found that there was a separation not in race, but more social, economic status, where people were just forced to survive. And then when you look at that environment, I also think it's social conditioning. Because when you've got a young kid who's 1 or 2 years old growing up in that environment, for him, that's his norm. So that's how they survive. And there's never an amalgamation or understanding of either side of the story. It all became about me,
True.
survival. So I think sometimes,
You only know what you know.
mate, look, I remember a few times, so I walking through townships, and I was always warned against it, and it's dangerous in that. But when I walked, I never ever had a problem. And there were situations where I was watched, I was definitely monitored and tested. But after that, I was fully accepted and I was fine walking through a township. And you make a few friends, people don't understand that it's not just a violence thing, it's a protection thing too, because you protect what you have. But then it's interesting you said that those who can afford to move up, move out. But there's also the people that just unfortunately become habituated. So you see a lot of younger generations moving out, but their parents and grandparents still want to stay there.
Yeah, true. Because it, it is kind of different living in different areas, because like even different countries for that matter, because you used to a certain sense of community, a certain sense of not dependability, but people relying on you, relying on them as well, you know what I mean? And just having that kind of support, because a lot of people don't understand the, hey, do you have some sugar? Hey, do you have some rice? Hey, do you have some of this? You know what I mean? And that is just the norm growing up where I grew up. Neighbors come knocking on each other's doors, just asking for a little bit just to get them through the week. You know, those kind of things are normal.
It's little
So,
things where they see you move and then they come and help you just because they saw you doing yard work.
absolutely, you know, and people have this idea that um, you just won't get that anywhere else. You know what I mean? And you will be shunned on or looked on a certain way if you do ask for help from certain people. You know what I mean? Whereas once you actually step out, do you understand that everybody pretty much is going through it? You know what I mean? Everyone has their own things going on.
But doesn't that take us right back to just the normal human behavior aspect of it all?
Absolutely, it's you. What you think would be true is generally not so. It's just what you think.
Digress the conversation if we touch this subject, but like if you look at people today, the main priority is all this independence bullshit. Me, I don't need no one, I'm self-survival. But at a basic instinctive human nature, a law of human is connectivity. We want connection, we want to belong part of a group.
And also the sense of serving. You know what I mean? Like we are here to serve one another, not be a servant, but to serve one another. You know, that's the main sense of humanity, you know, is to help one another. And people think that serving means that you need to be this.
Always say there was a guy who was quite suicidal and he rang his sponsor on one day and he was pretty bad. And his sponsor said to him, mate, anyone in your building that needs help, like just do you know anybody like right now? And he goes, oh yeah, there was a lady who she's had surgery and goes, just put the phone down, give me a ring in about an hour and go and see if she needs help. Whatever she needs, take the trash out, like whatever she needs, just help her out. The dude was gone for like over 2 hours. Apparently, the sponsor was freaking out. He finally rang him. He's like, man, it was amazing. Thank you so much. He helped her take the trash out. He sat and spoke to her, helped her prep meals. Like, and the two of them just had a massive conversation, but the gratitude she felt and the connection that someone thought of her and vice versa. And there's nothing you can take for that. There's no pill that's going to give you that.
Absolutely. It's amazing how your perspective can change just by your acts of kindness towards other people. People think that in order for you to feel better, people need to do things for you. You need to achieve things. You need to acquire things. But actually, you feel best once you do acts of kindness for other people.
100%. And I actually think that's something we should teach our kids. Never
Absolutely.
once.
That's what I try to.
Well, I see you with your boys all the time doing that, you know, because, and even especially with their siblings, because it's like be kind to everybody. But just because your family is your family, those are the people you need to be most kind to.
Absolutely. And that's where you practice.
Majority of the time, people find, well, you're my husband, you're my wife, you're my kid, I can talk to you how I like. And it's the complete opposite. Layla was,
Give kindness and respect to others, but you can't give kindness and respect to those.
you know, I literally, there's things that I have honestly said to my exes, my girlfriends, and things that I've said to my kids that if I caught anyone else saying those exact things to them, I would lose my mind. I would lose my shit. So if I would, they don't know them. So what gives me the right to speak to them like that? If Kai would lose his mind over what somebody said to his sister, but they don't know his sister, he does and still says those things, that's even worse.
Absolutely.
And then I've made them aware of that. And as far as the gratitude thing, Layla was buying these like colored roses. And she was young, she was about 6 or 7. And I gave her some money. She's standing in the queue holding her flowers. And this older lady looked at her and engaged her and was like, oh, those are really, is that your favorite color? She goes, they're so beautiful. If I could, I would have some. And she just waited in the queue to get whatever she was getting. Layla looked at me and she had this, I said, do you want to buy her some flowers? And Layla just lit up and like said yes. She goes, which ones? And I said, just ask her which ones she likes. So Layla asked her, she grabbed the flowers, paid for them, and then gave it to her. And the lady was like, is that for me? And then she looked at me and I like acknowledged it's fine. And she looked and she started like tearing up with Layla and just gave Layla so much gratitude. And my daughter came to me and my only focus to her was like, how do you feel? Why do you feel that?
Yeah.
Nothing she could, like, it makes me emotional just seeing it because everything she felt was because of somebody else's appreciation.
Yeah.
And that to me is something that we need to realize in everything that we do with our families and friends. So it's slight digression, like I said, but I think that's also what makes people stick to communities. That once they keep them close to home, which you all have a lot of friends that influenced you in the early years with bodybuilding. You used to train with them, they competed.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, a blessing and a curse, because yes, I've had the pleasure of training with some incredible bodybuilders back home, and also befriending a lot within those circles, and some of which are known by a lot of top tier bodybuilders that have come through South Africa, and two of which trained at my gym, and one young man was I think it was mid 2000s, maybe 2005, six, somewhere around there. Junior IFBB Mr. Natifabe, and a guy that I trained with, one of my neighbors, was Junior Mr. South Africa. Actually, I think he actually won Mr. South Africa as a junior, as a junior, or just finished, moving up from junior to opens, and tons of potential, incredible athlete. And yes, this is why I did not want to compete, because I was comparing myself to these guys, and I was like, to be competitive,
I have
I
to
need to
imagine.
be up to that par. And like, I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot about how to train, how much to really sometimes just leave nothing left,
Push yourself when you need to get to
really
that
push
level.
yourself,
Yeah.
and the mental battles and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. So, like I said, a blessing and a curse. And then coming over here, you know, meeting you, training with you for a number of years. I remember I was talking to one of the boys the other couple of weeks ago, actually, about how some of our sessions would go, and then we'll go out to the car park, and we'll just actually sit there and just have 5 minutes. And one day we were in the car park, not knowing that we're parking almost directly opposite each other, and we both just sitting there, and we just like puffing and puffing. And just taking the 5 minutes, we look over to each other and we just start laughing, and we're like, "Oh, okay, so you not knowing that we just thanked each other." For those are the good times, man. Those are good sessions.
Did that just so I could drive home because I was seeing like double, man. No, like,
And it's not even a leg to be like a push day, shoulder or chest day or back day.
yeah,
You want to be sitting there, it's just like, no, those are good.
like
That's what I love doing.
it's the intensity that you grow up with because I think back then it also taught you how to stay in the fire. Like there were so many
Use the
things.
difficult, yeah.
But then I guess over the years I've also learned that some things are better off approached with a smart head too. Sometimes staying in the fire too long can cause more damage.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's something that I've definitely taken on board lately, because I think for me my biggest issue was always managing fatigue, because I was always like go 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 go, and I've slowed down a lot in so many aspects of my life. Just still working hard, but just making sure that
I have a theory about that actually.
yeah,
Because like that's the one thing most men struggle with. Like let's be realistic. Never mind relationships, maintaining a relationship, that's hard work. What's even harder that people don't realize is the dissolving of a relationship. So to be a man that's married and has a life with family and kids, that takes effort, that takes discipline. But then when you're going through a divorce or separation, that even, fuck, it's like twice as much. And that's the biggest mistake people make. It's too hard to work on my marriage. I just went out. They don't realize it's double the work when you do that if you seriously went out.
yeah,
But we cope with that. And the way we cope with it is like, all right, we just got to get it done. There's no escape. We've got to get through it. And we push, 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 push. And I think that's the biggest lesson as men is like, I think the more comfortable and the older we get more comfortable within ourselves. So we get comfortable with more boundaries. Back then, we identified ourselves as having to be functional in order to be accepted. In order to be a man and be respected by the people we care about, we had to provide a certain level of service.
yes. And also I think how we view progression. We view progression by, if we're busy, if we keep going and we don't stop and we, you know what I mean, that means that we're doing better because we're doing more.
Doing more, right? And it's not in alignment. We might be just on the hamster treadmill, not going anywhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that, and we're not saying this is not that other people were doing that to us. It's just our belief system that, you know, in order for me to be a good man, to be respected by my family, to have the respect, I have to do these things. I have to be at that level, rather than thinking about like what gives my self-respect when I look in the mirror. How do I feel about what I've done, the difference I've made? You know, I might be working fucking 12-hour days so my kids can have all the money, but I'm not spending time with them.
Absolutely,
And then I look
yes.
in the mirror and I'm like, hey, I'm super proud that I'm providing for them. But how do I feel as a man? Like, how do I feel in my connection?
Yeah, true.
And 9 times out of 10, I'd much rather give my salary away just to spend a week with them.
Exactly right. You end up being of service, but not being a parent. You
Because
just,
we're
you know,
just trying to like chase what we believe is going to give us that. So the older we get, the more we start to realize this isn't working. And I think for young men is actually like right now, be the example to others that you expect from others.
absolutely,
Like,
yes.
you know, you,
Like I always tell my kids, whatever you want out of this world, you need to be willing to give it first. Whether it's kindness, whether it's respect, whether it's love, whatever it is, be willing to give it first so that you know the cost.
see,
And if you don't understand the cost, then you can't expect it.
I've known you for a few years and you've always been disciplined with that, especially with your morals and your integrity. Like for me, that's the one thing I've always found admirable about you. And this is what I like about the men I surround myself with. The priority is always that man and his family. So even if men have plans or dates, you always prioritize what's best for your friend, never what's best for you. And you support them even if you don't agree with them, but you have the tough discussions, but you always hold your integrity. You've always been a man who respects yourself. But I actually think since you started competing, it wasn't the competing or the winning that made the difference. It was the shift that you actually thought, fuck, I'm going to believe in myself enough to do this. Because throughout the years, you knew you looked good and you knew that you had the potential. And you like, I mean, you, you were living the lifestyle as a bodybuilder. Yeah, and I'm going to be frank, like there's a lot of people that won't like this, but you were already living the lifestyle of the majority of above average bodybuilders. You were strict with your diets, with your routine, with your training schedule, with your split, and you weren't even competing. So it was an easy change. But like you said, you kept comparing yourself to others. But the irony is that every single person you're comparing yourself to was telling you, jump on stage. You have no idea how phenomenal you are. Like you have no
Even those
idea.
guys, even those guys back home used to.
You know,
Yeah.
and I found that was really interesting because here's these people that you respect that believe in you, but you somehow still kept that as a boundary. And only since that's kind of like come across, your aura has just come up more and more of this like someone who's stable, not chasing, not running, neutral. Like it's not indifference. It's like
Yeah.
my purpose. I have a purpose.
Yeah. That's like I always knew this, but I never could put it in words. When Cam was just started competing, and I'm like, man, have you heard what this one's saying? Have you heard what that one's saying about you? And he's like, I just don't listen to the hype, eh? Like, 'cause that's nothing. Just don't listen to hype. And I just looked at him and I shook my head. I'm like, that's just me. Like I don't listen to hype. I always look at what I can do more. How much more I'm able to. You know, if I do commit to something 100%, like you said, I've always been living that life for decades now, but I know that I wasn't doing it 100%. And that's why I was like, "Oh, I need to make things change, I need to do that." And I think that once I got to the point of um, I can now make adjustments in my life to make it work. So why not just do it?
Yep.
And when Cam just became pro and told me that he's going to start coaching, all he said was, "You next?" And I was like, "Yeah, but who am I going to work with?" So he told me, "I'm going to start coaching." I'm like, "Sign me up."
Straight up.
Because it was just the right time. You know, it
Yeah,
was.
I think you and Cam as well, like, you've known each other for so long. I mean, we've known Cam for years as well in the gym. And when you look at someone with that, like Cam for me is just one of those true hardcore bodybuilders. And when I say hardcore, it's not what people think like beast mode. It's this just
The
gentle
mindset
mindset
thing.
presence. Like, it's just a ball of fucking energy walking down, you know. And his aura is calm and he's passive and he's engaging. He's polite. He's just so present, and there's an authenticity about him. And even on the podcast I had with him, I like to stir the pot sometimes. And I was like, well, and people were just on me about it once they knew. They were just asking about Aaron, asking about between him and Aaron. And I was like, well, so like in the next show, like you and Aaron, he goes, yeah, I don't even compare, dude. Like Aaron's a whole other level. In his mind, it's like Aaron was one of the first ones. He was just so focused on what he could do and what he had control over. And he wasn't worried about catching up to anyone, having to outdo anybody else. And all he had was like just this utmost respect that he wouldn't even indulge the comparison. It's like, well, there's no need to compare. Like, it's two different things. For whatever reason, like, even if the bodies had to be identical, he didn't say this, but the impression I got was, he's like, I don't give a shit even if I looked as good as him. We can't compare each other. He has so much more experience. It's like, I don't deserve to be in that same boat.
Yeah.
Even if he looked. And I was like, that's so true, because it's not, it's everything else that you've managed over your career. And Cam just keeps getting better and better. And you guys have known each other for years. He's helped you along the way as well. And so he knows your body, he knows your energy, he knows how your mind works.
Yeah, true. And that's important. That's important. The thing is, like, that could be a good and a bad thing, you know what I mean? But because he knows and understands me, and if I tell him something, like he knows, like if I get to a point where I need to mention something, he knows, okay, no, this must be a big deal. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But he also knows where your resistance is, or when your mind goes into a bit of a victim mentality mindset. Like, he can call you on that, and it's challenging. It's like, it sucks,
yeah.
but you want
And he
somebody.
does. He pulls me up.
Well,
Like
that's-
in prep, like there's a few times where you know what, coach, you get the blues, whatever. And he's like, man, that's normal. This is something that's gonna happen. Like, you're just gonna have to find a way to. And I was like, okay, yeah, just.
But this is what I like about coaches like that, and even as a father, because he's a dad too. I got brought my son's attention to something he was doing in relation to his girlfriend, and he was unconscious in doing it. He was just behaving in a self-protective mode. I was like, did you realize, like, this is what you did? Oh, why did you get involved? The reality is, it's my job, and I don't care whether he likes it or not, but I'm calling him on something that I can see he's doing that he's unaware of. And his response to me was, don't ever stop. Because he wants to be aware of his reactive behaviors and stuff. So don't you want a coach like that when you come into them with excuses about what you can do?
You know, and I'm glad you said you compared that to the whole coaching thing, because I was just going to say too that at this point with you and your son, you at that coaching phase now. You know what I mean? And then what comes next is the friendship phase, because this is the part where you giving him those skills to perform at his best, to be his best. You know what I mean? First, you start as the teacher, then you become the mentor and the coach, and then you become a friend. You know what I mean? It has to be the natural progression. Can't be any other way, because you're gonna mess it up. And this is the part where you just giving him the last bit of skills, coaching him, bit of guidance, and afterwards, when he's out on his own, that's when you can become friends. But as of for now, there's still a little bit of lessons to be taught, and it's important to understand the dynamic.
I agree with you 100%. Like, yeah, my son's always been my best friend. And even when he was 10 years old, he would tell me, oh, you're my best friend. But it was a different kind of friendship. It's not what people say friends. It's like, I'm your father first. And I'm your father and I'm your friend. But it's almost like, it's going to sound so bad, but it's almost like you have to earn the right to be my friend. When you are 21, are you going to be the type of person that I want to be friends with? That's something that you've got to do. That's something I've got to do. If I'm bringing up a real man, I've got to make sure that this man wants to be my friend when he's older.
Those
right?
labors of love.
It's a two-way street, but along the way, I have a responsibility, which is like, it's not the hardest thing about being a parent And sometimes this is the dynamic I feel, again, I'm going to get in trouble for. And it's not for bad reason, it's good reason because moms and dads are different. But sometimes moms forget it's not about how you feel about your kids or their discomfort, it's about your responsibility about teaching them what they need to learn to survive on their own, regardless of what they think of you and how they feel about you.
Absolutely.
You can always deliver it better, and I've been getting better at my delivery as I get older, so no argument there. But I think that's a responsibility of a coach. You're paying them because you're trying to be truthful to chase something you want to chase, whatever your goal is. And they've got to be honest enough with you to help you explore what your limitations are, or your self-perceived limitations are.
Absolutely. If a coach doesn't tell you what you need to do to improve, he's not a good coach.
And sometimes they might not know what you need to do. I can tell you what you need. See, like Cam, for me, I've never worked with him personally in that regard, but we've spoken as coaches. And he's always struck me as somebody who's like, if you hit something, he'll say, this is what I think would help. How hard would that be for you? Or what would suit you better? Like he will navigate a solution to it with what you would feel more obliged to do. But he'll always tell you what he perceives would be the best result, as opposed to a coach who goes, the only way is this way.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's the healthy dynamic is I'm calling you on your shit. I understand why it exists. It's part of the process. The next step is figuring out how to adjust it for yourself.
Yeah,
This is my advice. How do you feel about it?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, learning to, I think for me, I would say I'm quite an adaptable person, to the most degree.
Yeah, I think
But I think the thing that a lot of people struggle with is adapting to change. I mean, I know and understand that despite the 20, let's make me sound old now, 22, 23 years of training, and I did start training in my 20s.
yeah,
20 years of training is that there is a million ways to skin the cat. Like, and if there's a way, if there's a way to get better without completely, utterly taxing yourself, why not try it? Why not try it? And like, it doesn't mean that you negate from hard work. You're still going to work hard, but you're going to work smarter too. You're going to find a way to do the same amount of work, but just making it that you can actually progress without being absolutely trashed. And that was me
well, like,
in my 20s and 30s. I was like, no, I need to be completely.
no. So that was the irony. That's what helped me is because, I work hard. I want to work hard. That's where I'm going. You need a rest. No, I want to work hard. I have to. And I realized, you know what? It was actually harder for me to stop,
Slow down. Yeah.
to slow down. That was hard. Like literally, even mentally, like to just not feel guilty, to not feel like I was slowing down, to not feel like I was missing out on progress. That was harder than going and busting my ass. So it's kind of a hypocrisy. If I want the hard work, then why don't I just sit my ass down? And that was, oh, fuck, well, let's do that. And that's also one reason why you need to slow down is to reassess if you're doing what you need to be doing to get to where you want to get. Like, are burning, or like, is this still the right trajectory? Am I putting too much time into other things? You need to stop. You need to have that time with yourself, and that uncomfortable time that you later become comfortable with. But I think that was the one thing is sometimes that's the harder part is stopping and
I didn't just slow down in my training, I slowed down with everything else and this is only because I spent a lot more time alone. And what I realized was that my day would start at 4, 4:30, sometimes 3 in the morning.
yeah,
And I would not literally stop until dinner at night, which back then would be like 8 at night.
yeah.
And then I'll have, after dinner, have a bit of time relaxing, have a shower, and then bed. So for myself, I had between an hour to hour and a half where I actually just well, still didn't do nothing because I had to, clean the kitchen, do the dishes, all that kind of stuff. and then do whatever prep I need to do for the next day. So literally some days I had no time or half an hour to sit down and do nothing. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Spending, what's that, 70% of my day just moving, training this hard. Come the weekend, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted, I still want to train in the weekend too, and I'll do this, one of that. And it just didn't make sense to me anymore. So I just found ways to make everything else work. And then luckily my coach did the exact same thing on my training plans, and it's worked.
Yeah,
It's worked.
it does. It brings you back to your center again, I guess.
Absolutely.
So you're getting ready to compete at the end of the year.
Absolutely. We are getting ready for number 2. Had so much fun the first time, so why not do it again?
So, like, I have to say, admittedly, I've seen that, like, the progress from last season to this season. That you've made some really good, considerable gains, and you've kind of held your condition quite well with the amount of size you've put on in such a short amount of time. How did you find that rebound process?
Like I said before, don't listen to the hype. So look, I don't. Yes, now probably more than before. I'd go back and look at pictures, especially when coach says something, and I'm like, really? And I go back and think, okay, yeah, maybe, that's still not definite. But yeah, I just, man, I had probably after the show, I told my coach, look here, just give me a few days, just want to get my head straight. Obviously, I had a lot of personal things going on at the time too. I need a week to get my head straight. I'm going to probably take the whole week off training. I'll see what I feel like later in the week. But at the moment, my body was just, I was exhausted mentally, physically, and took that week off. Came back the next week and pretty much went straight back on plan. And we started working. We the plan was already set before the competition.
But even when you say you took a week off, maintain. You don't go crazy.
I started actually feeling good.
Yeah, that's right. You've got
Feeling good.
your foundation's always been there.
Yeah, look, I'm such a regimented person. I've always been also very systematic. Like I've got everything planned out in my head if it's not already, just muscle memory. Which is a good and a bad thing because I know exactly how long it takes me to get everywhere. So I know if I this time I'll be fine. So I'll plan I'll plan everything. Everything's already set out
I
in
do the
my
same
head.
thing. I even know the order that I'm going to do something in the movement of
Absolutely.
so
Whether it's packing my lunch, which part of the meal goes in which. So if you look at my lunch boxes from Monday through Sunday, they always, if you look at that's down the bottom, that, it's all, that's systematic.
the ones for the ones that are going to be later in the day, closer to the ice packs compared to the other ones. I'm the same, dude.
And somebody, like a lot of people ask me why I do it. I say it's because, like, why wouldn't you? You don't have to think about anything. Everything is muscle memory. So you just get up, everything just flows. You don't have to think, you don't have to stutter, everything just goes.
Discipline creates consistency, and when you have that sort of consistency,
Okay,
your
great.
anxiety drops because everything's predictable. You know what you have to do next.
The prep time you don't want to think of anything.
No, you
You
don't.
don't
Like
want
you
to.
just.
Yeah, and I think that's something that really helped me the first time around.
But that was also something. That was also one of the reasons why you wanted to compete too. I remember we had this discussion a while back, and then I've always said that like, that's a really good reason. Even she just did a 6-week challenge, and for a while she's been wanting to do some sort of challenge, and she wants to compete in CrossFit. So she challenged herself to up level her game because she was struggling with her routine. This girl eats her meals, preps her food, like is consistent with the training, but sometimes getting the steps in was harder, amalgamating work. So she made this commitment, and for the 6 weeks, she completely smashed it, dude. Like she absolutely owned it. Her results were off the chart. But not even just, she was upset, typical because of, the weight didn't drop as much, but her body fat percentage was huge and the composition changed drastically. But more so than that, her performance went through the roof. And she didn't falter once throughout the 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
That's the thing.
But here's the thing, now that she's gone back to her normal lifestyle, she may have dropped to 15 to 20% at most. But that's still so much more than what she was doing prior. And that's what people don't realize when you compete. There's nothing about winning the trophy. Look at it as a way to push yourself so that you can do more of the things you love.
How much better than when you started is on the journey. Yeah. And if you put it in that sense, yes, I think there's some improvements.
Yeah, I think so, definitely do. And if you, the more diligent you are, the better your off season will be too, because you maintain that. But you've got to, I think you have to make that conscious choice of like, this is one of the skills I want to learn from this type of challenge.
True. Yeah.
And obviously, when you won the first year, you went with Gorilla X. You jumped on board shortly after.
Yes. Yeah. So I was using their products before I actually became part of the team. And so when I did join, it was like really organic, wasn't even a question. They send me the offer and I was like, hell yeah, I'm ready. Like send me the paper, let me sign up, and it's not just something that I just join. I just use the products because I joined the team. It's tried and tested. I use it throughout my prep, and it's what pretty much what got me through that
Mate,
first
like
prep.
the car powder, like I guess with my food and everything. Yeah, I've got you something for your birthday that one year. And I've tried and there's a lot of good car powders out there, but until I was given the Gorilla X one just to try, mate, it was amazing, like the way it sat in me, and that's why I gave it to you. And I was using their products for ages purely because of the benefits I felt from them. And oh, dude, like you said, you don't stop, like it's nowadays. But what I liked about it was every time we had to load on carbs, we would always spill and get a bit pudgy, and then there was always be that excess we'd have to pull back or flush it out a little bit. With Gorilla X, you don't really have that side effect. But then when they started to show me their other products and things like that, it's like you said, I don't personally align with anyone that I don't use their products. And whether I was an athlete or not, I would still have Gorilla X in my cupboard. And but what I liked about them was also their approach to the health and fitness industry. It wasn't just about we here to sell supplements and be cool. It was like this genuine approach, like what what do you need to be better? What can we do to help your nutritional needs? And from every aspect, because they look at sleep, they're looking. There's just so many different things coming up with digestion. They've got the new digestive proteins coming up and the vegan proteins, and because of the way I fed, they took a really good interest in how their supplements are processed. So every single client I've given it to, they get great results. For me, my favorite thing would have to be the carb powder. And second to that, I'm addicted to the burn drink.
Oh, yeah. Chuck it in your please.
Oh, dude, no, I use that in the mornings because it doesn't give me, there's no crash for me. So I like to have half a can in the morning and then another half a can at morning, my morning tea meal. But I also love their aminos. Their aminos is like step because they got everything, but I like the electrolytes in because I always used to have hydrolyte.
Yeah, same. I'm a big fan of the amino blend. Um, Even have it on non-training days, on hot days, man, it's best. Kiwi strawberry flavor. Flavor be that'll be the end of me. That'll be the end of me.
Don't do, yeah, it's going to be bad, but like, I like Red Bull and vodka. That's what I used to drink back in the day. And then I tried one of their lime cordial pre-workouts, the RTD ones, and mixed that. And especially if you put it in the freezer for a while, it's like a bit slushy. So good, dude. And the best part is like, at our age, it keeps us awake past 10 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, man, I'm a big fan of the aminos, the kiwi strawberry, and the pineapple. I don't know what it is with me and all these tropical flavors all of a sudden, but the pineapple pump, man, that like everyone knows I don't really touch. I don't really often use Tim's, but I always use pump formulas. But
Even use their pump formula. I use a pre, but I'll also put in, depending on my post meal, if I train legs or back, but I'll always put in either half a scoop to a full serve of pump as well. And my post workout, it was like, why do you do that? I'm saying basically just because of the vasodilation properties that it has. So if I'm eating and there's a lot of blood there, and I remember reading a study years ago that improves absorption rates. So for me, it's like my way of getting the food up quicker. But their carbs, dude, I literally have close to 100 and yeah, 160 to 200 grams of their Gular-X carbs during a training session from pre to the end, and that's a lot of carbs. But and I have no aversion. Obviously, I have a lot of water when I train. I train for longer hours. Plus, it's something that I've developed with my system. Like I feed through a pig feed. So everyone has to do their adjustment levels.
And getting in the nutrients here, obviously, getting in the powdered carbs makes it easier to get more food in, especially when you're busy trying to put in some size.
And the fact that it doesn't have to, it's easily digested. You know, I'm not having that spillage or that bloating or that uncomfortable feeling. So I love their stuff. And you're going to be using their products again all the way through.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like you said, there's a few new products coming up.
They've got a cookie coming up.
Yep, they've got a cookie coming out, which will be which I'm really excited to try. Far enough off prep, bit close, but far enough off prep to definitely give them all a taste test with the boys. I think I'll
Or you
do a
just do what
little.
I do, just take a nibble and then put it into a bucket.
Uh, Take a nibble and give the rest to the boys.
Yeah, now
They'll
they'll
be
use it. They'll use it.
we'll do a live taste review with the boys. Yeah, a lot of things I'm looking forward to, and yeah, just
Well,
like the great thing with myself and my coach is I don't have to think about much, and if something does come up, we'll have a talk about it. If it's something that's not worth changing, we won't change. You know, sometimes you just get you just want to do something different just for the sake of doing something different. You want to try a different food in there. You know what I mean? Like if I want to try some different foods, you're like, yeah, we can change that, whatever. Or if it's like no real point in doing so, it's only because I'm being a bit fussy, you know. I'll just suck it up but like I'm so easy going when it comes to my food. I eat everything, so I don't really have any issues.
food is fuel.
Ooh, and my food choices are so amazing too. Like I don't have any cravings, and I'm a self-professed sweet tooth. I love ice cream, I love cakes, I love pastries, and like I'll walk past a patisserie and not even think, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even bother me before if I walk past a pastry shop and they've got almond croissants. I'm dipping in for almond croissant and a coffee.
Right, like 100. I've noticed that with a lot of my clients when they first start off, and when people have cravings, it's because your body's missing something. And if you actually on a diet that you're getting the right amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, your cravings will subside quite a bit. And then when you get them, just check the time of day that you're getting them, and then just work out where your meal timings are off. You know, and you can navigate that because people think I have a sweet tooth, which I do too. But there's moments where you're craving savory, right? So that's when you realize, oh, I'm low in sodium, and I think that's where the craving stems from. So what people don't realize is being bodybuilders, it's not just being a bodybuilder, it's the fact that it teaches you about food and how you feel with food, rather than not how you emotionally feel, but how you physiologically feel.
Yeah, true. Your body's always going to crave something that you need in its simplest form. Like if you have a sweet tooth, it's because your carbs are probably not that great or your timing, like you said. I mean, look, like I said, my food is so good. The variety of my food is amazing too. And I mean, if I can have 3 tubs of ice cream in the freezer and they're untouched, I think I think we're doing really good at our food choices. And like I said, I love ice cream.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing when I spoke about the protein cookie that Galerics came out was making one of those ice cream sandwiches with it. That's the first thing I had in my head. So are you thinking of competing overseas at all?
Look, the conversation is up in the air. Will just depend on, I think, what lines up and how this next couple months go. I would love to. I'd definitely love to, just for the experience. Like I haven't traveled for quite a number of years, so it would be, two birds, one stone, just getting away for a bit, and then also, yeah, having the privilege to compete and just
Just
stand
go through the
stand beside a
experience,
few other athletes. It would be a fun experience.
the cards.
Not on the cards, I say it's definitely something that could be on the cards, but like I said, we'll see what happens in the next couple of months.
No.
Because, as you know, you man, like life, um, sometimes life just gets hectic and time goes by so quickly, and you haven't planned anything or haven't, So we'll see. It's definitely something that I want to try. Whether it's after this, I'm not sure, 100% sure, but I definitely love to do it.
Yeah, I think
Ideally,
but it's one of those things where it's like you can argue divine timing. Like you'll know that when your energy is ready to put that investment in, it will come to fruition.
yeah.
Right now,
And also what lines up. I think there's still quite a few shows because that would be just, I think just after the Olympia. Um, so there's quite a few shows still happening then. So
that'll be a great experience to go and watch the Olympian and compete there at the amateur at the same time.
oh, that'd be
I remember doing Arnold in Columbus, and that was like such a beautiful experience.
so the amateur Olympia is the week after the week before. When it's around the same time, I know. I know it's around the same time. I'm not sure if it's before or after. We need to check the calendar. I did speak to someone about this the other day, and they did tell me, but I can't remember. But
Yeah, I'll be guessing. Somehow I feel like it's before, but I honestly feel like I'm guessing.
yeah, look, that could be a possibility. I don't know. I really don't know. Because obviously, as you know, all I need to do is just do a regional. I don't need to do nationals and
Yeah, but
qualify.
yeah, knowing you, you still want to bring your best package. Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, I don't, irrespective how in my head I think, I think I think I look, if it's something that I'm going to plan to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So, yeah. So if it's something that I'm going to commit, I'm going to follow through. But yeah, it's just in the ideal world, it's a yes. But yeah, we'll see.
Look at where you are now. Like 10, 20 years, you probably wouldn't have thought so. Like,
If you asked me 10, 15, 20 years ago if I'd compete, I'd tell you hell no. Need a lot of work.
like you've bought one of the most insane packages. Like you came out of nowhere and you were on everyone's lips like for weeks afterwards. Which is, and not just because of how you looked, but also your demeanor and how you carry yourself. You always admire the respect from your peers more so than the likes on Instagram. And that's a credit to your character that I kind of like.
Absolutely. I'm just always been a stern believer. And like I said before, like whatever you want out of the world, just give it
You have
first,
to give it back.
Give
So,
it first.
what advice would you give to anyone, but particularly anyone, I'd probably say, arguably in the maturer ages, where they've trained their whole lives and they've always played around with the desire or the idea of competing? What advice would you give to them that for them to consider in order to make sure it's not something they're going to miss out on?
I would say if it's like for me, the thought of competing was always this earworm, and there's always this desire to want to do it, but I've always had tons of excuses. I would say just find a good coach, get on a plan, and just tick your dailies and do it. Like it's not as hard as you would make yourself believe it is if you can commit to your dailies.
Well, if it's something you want to do,
If you can commit to your dailies, like yes, obviously it's a big it, it costs a lot of money to compete and all of that. It also costs a lot of money to eat takeaway 3 times a week. You know what I mean? It also like everything costs a lot of money. Like no matter what you want to do,
choose your investment.
absolutely. And I think that you will know yourself differently if you commit to something like this because there's very few things in life that will change you the way and I'm not saying that it's going to be the most difficult or the craziest. It's just you need to commit
When I first started, I never believed I'd ever win a show because my coach was just, I got on stage to try to get over my fear of my tube, of owning my tube. And the one reason why I continued to compete, in all honesty, was because I wanted to be the best possible version I could be, with regardless of my limitations. Like I wanted to build myself up to, I guess, prove doctors wrong, everybody else wrong. But comp actually helped me in that progress. It's kind of like martial arts, you know, like when you go to a tournament, you're not there to win the tournament. You're there to gauge how much work you need to do. You know, what else you need to learn, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. It's just like a little exam test to see where you are in the journey. And that's what comp was to me in my bodybuilding journey, if you want to call it that, is competitions. Yes, there's always that competitive side that we have, but my main drive was because the better I do this, the better I'll be afterwards. And it's almost like nitros for your progression. It gives you what you can do in 12 months and you compete one season. If you commit to it, you'll make better gains than if you were consistent all year round without competing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like for me, back when you, myself, and Perry used to train together those Saturday mornings, and Perry would be like, "Hey, why don't you up on stage?" And I was like, "Man," I was like, "I want to be when I compete, I want to be able to stand tall amongst giants." And he looked at me and he's like, "I think I know what that means, but what do you mean by that?" So I said, "I want to be so good that I want to stand among good athletes and still be seen,
And hold my own.
hold my own." You know what I mean? And but that's just me and my character. I'm the kind of person who I don't care what many things I'm gauged by people, but when it comes to my how I am with my family and people close, how I treat my family and people close to me, and also my work. You know, there's a saying that one of my managers said a long time ago: "Work as though it's the only thing people will remember you by when you're gone." And that's how I've always applied. I've always applied that kind of effort to everything I do. So in that sense, I wanted to make sure that I worked so hard that everyone could see that this guy really did his absolute best, and
He deserves to be on stage. You wanted to earn the right to be on stage. You don't want any other way. I'm the same way. When I compare Columbus, I don't want to win or lose. I just wanted to look like I belonged up there. I look like that people, oh yeah, he should be up there. He looks like he should be up there. And that's what I've always wanted.
yeah, and the trophies and the medals and all that secondary. You know what I mean? You want to feel that you've put in that effort, you've put in that work, you've done.
When I ever got from my kids on one of the cards, and they said to me that the one thing they admire about me the most is how I continue to become a better person. I continue to become a better man. And so it's very humbling when you realize that your children can see your flaws, but can also see your growth. And I think that's actually setting the right example. So what you were saying, it's not about doing the work. It's not your job as much. It's more so do the work with becoming better all the time. And so that people look at you and remember, no matter what, Solomon was always growing. Solomon was always changing, always trying to be better, always encouraging. And not just because you want the accolades, because that's how you see yourself. And I think that's the same thing that everyone applies. You want to go back. Exactly. You have to set the example. You know, you want people to be, when they're angry at you, you want compassion from them. So you have to do the same when you're angry. It's a two-way street. And that's the work that you have to continuously do. Continuously working to challenge yourself so you can find out more about your shadow self so that you can make a better difference in the world. And I think that's what bodybuilding's done for me in that aspect. And arguably, I'd say for you too.
Absolutely. Like the way, like we said earlier, the way people view progression is not gauged by consistently being busy. It's about the growth. It's about like prepping for a show yes, your body's going to change, but that's not the only change that's going to happen.
Exactly.
There's so much things there's so much perspectives that are going to shift. There's so many paradigms that's going to shift. You know what I mean? And a lot of people that haven't taken that journey won't understand. And, but it's just up to you to just show up for yourself and just,
And it doesn't even have to be.
it's a selfish endeavor, but the
It's selfish because people see us posing in front of a mirror so they don't grasp it entirely. What it is, everything in life is selfish. Whether you want to be the CEO of a company, you want to make $1 million, want to be the world's best motocross rider, the world's best MMA fighter, it's a selfish endeavor. This sacrifice. You have to put yourself in that conditioning phase. You have to acknowledge there's one driver in the Formula One team, but there's a whole team of people behind him. There's nothing different in any endeavor that we do. We do have I think for me, it was having this selfish endeavor of wanting to achieve something for myself, but in order to create something better for my family, while all the while still maintaining what I thought was my responsibilities for them and the desire to be with them. And that's what competition taught me, how to amalgamate the two, because it's not just about shutting everything out and doing that. It doesn't matter whether it's competing in bodybuilding or trying to make a team for basketball or trying to learn self-defense or take up jiu-jitsu classes or whatever it is, just challenging yourself to grow that little bit more.
yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with, like, for me too, I did it for myself. I did it because I wanted to experience it. I wanted to experience the the stage. I wanted to experience the prep. Like, I've never in my life been that lean ever. Like, I've never come close to that, and I wanted to see if my body could actually do it, and surprisingly, it did. And
Surprising to you, maybe.
and I thought it'd be a lot harder than I thought it would be, but meanwhile, I didn't know that I was already doing whatever I needed to do. You know what I mean? I thought that it's going to take so much more. Like, I didn't take a single step on the Stairmaster my entire prep. I didn't spend hours doing hour-long cardio sessions.
Yeah, but that's because you paid attention to the small things.
Yeah,
You did it all the time. Your normal lifestyle was healthy, was making sure you get steps in, was you were already doing that. So all you had to do was butt up with what you were already doing. You didn't really have to change massively.
too. All I did was add in a few minutes of cardio a day and added more steps. I think that the biggest jump for me wasn't even the cardio; it was just adding 3,000 steps above what I was doing.
Yeah,
Which, if you think about it, 3,000 steps is really,
not that much.
as opposed to I see people doing hours on the Stairmaster, which I was like, but but then again, like, I don't know, I don't know their whys, and exactly right. It's not, I'm not judging them. It's like they did it, and I take my hat off. I take my hat off to anybody that's willing to do, and it's hard. Stairmaster is hard on a normal for me. I speak for myself. Stairmaster for me is hard on a normal day. In prep it would be a nightmare. So I'm glad I didn't have to do it.
I think at the end of the day, it's also like there's a lot of reasons why some people get great results from Stairmaster and they really do, they hit the numbers and do them right. There's
And like
also this
Phil, he said, I got the best hamstring separation and glute separation because of that 45 minutes around the
but
Stairmaster.
there's also people out there that are using the Stairmaster because they haven't really committed to their 2 weeks prior. So now they're stuck on the same. It's kind of like if you are hitting your numbers consistently, you only have to do what your body needs to do. And for some people, unfortunately, it might be the Stairmaster because of how their body responds. And for other people, it's because of how you responded to your
At
diet.
one point, I thought I might have to resort to that because I told Cam, buddy, I'm not getting on stage unless my glutes just that I hate it. He said, well, you're going to have to dig deep. I'm like, you point, I go.
Yeah.
I was like, whether it's climbing Mount Cootha daily
Whatever it
or,
takes.
or Stairmaster, I'm like, you just don't want to need to do.
I
But
did 250 lunges a day for like literally 6 weeks just to get those glutes and hamstring striations.
and the funny thing is, as you know, that was the last thing to come in. And when it came in, we were just like, sweet,
There we go.
there we go. We know it's there now. We know we can do it. And yeah, it was.
Well, dude, we're definitely going to be following you on this one, and we're going to keep recording it. I want to see it. I think you're going to bring in another package. There's a really good athletes coming out,
I
so
think,
this would be really good to watch. I
oh
think there's
yeah,
going to be some good bodies up there.
it's definitely going to be stacked. There's quite a few guys from the last show that are doing this one, and those guys are looking amazing. So the last show was definitely not a walk in the park. Me and me and me and the guy that went up against for the true novice in the true novice category. We were up there for 15 minutes, maybe even longer, just going pose for pose for pose for pose. And I mean, that said, like it wasn't, nothing was a walk in the park. People showed up, and like I feel privileged and blessed to be able to have to be that one to be up there and back to back to back. I don't think there was any other comparisons that went that long,
I
or not
literally,
that went that long.
I lost to Mike Galley at States, and same thing, like comparison, and then he beat me, and deservingly so. And I was ecstatic. I was like over the moon. It was like, oh my, I'm like, it's Mike Galley, bro. They kept us on stage for ages. Like, are you kidding me?
Anyone you want to have a pose with and being
Like, and they're making me turn around times, with Mike. Are you kidding me, dude?
he's definitely one of the guys that
My
you want to
brain was like
stand.
thinking, maybe we'll just make Pedro feel good and we'll make him turn a few times. Just so he can feel good about himself.
Absolutely, Michael's definitely a legend.
Because I left there super pumped just from that. So like you go when you show
And I
up
mean,
on
being a
point.
friend of yours too is amazing. You know what I mean? Being up there and getting to go back to back with not just a friend, but one of Australia's best.
I've got pictures of him and Logan that Dallas Olson took in the old magazine of them training arms in Ashmore. And my very first comp, I had that. I literally bought two magazines, one to keep, and the other one I tore the pictures out and put up in the kitchen. So that was my motivation with the two of them. And then when I competed with Mike Galley, it was not only that I was sitting standing next to this like five-time Mr. Australia back then. It's
Was
the
that
guy.
his last show he done?
Yeah, his last
That was
show.
what 20 was that 26? Because I came to watch you
Yeah,
at Sharks Club,
Sharks. Okay.
and then he showed up and you didn't know that he was
No,
competing.
we did. We actually did. We actually knew that we were competing, but we kind of pushed each other.
Yeah.
And the base compliment was, I knew he was competing, that I just kind of like it up my game. Like I need to earn the right to be on stage next to this. And for him, he actually said to me, like, always brought good condition, so it forced him to
To up
match
his
the same
condition,
time.
and that's
then
awesome.
and he stayed in touch with me the whole time, and vice versa. And arguably, I was as good on that day because of him, because I was competing. Because if he wasn't, I wouldn't have pushed as hard. And Rogan was my coach. He's been my coach. So here I am with these two men that I was just like in total admiration of. So for me, that's the win. It's about, and which is why I struggle to relate to this Instagram bullshit about likes and having those two guys on stage treat you in that manner and show you that kind of respect and care and consideration. That to me trumps any trophy.
Absolutely, yes.
Honestly, I know it sounds cheesy. That's the way I feel, bro. And it's wonderful seeing like all the guys that we all known each other for so many years, Cam, you, like we're all in the same sort of field. We're pushing each other to be ourselves and be more of ourselves. There's no competition.
100%, man. Like,
And I think that's what I want to share more of.
yeah, like I had unbelievable support leading up to the show, leading up to the regional show. Couple of guys from the, couple of bodybuilders from the gym, Ariel, Viet. Well, Viet come up. I think Viet come up after nationals. I think to start training here, but there was quite a few guys, and even after the regionals, having so many strangers reach out to me, and just those words of encouragement was amazing. And yeah, it's good, but it also makes you want to work hard and like just do an extra bit more, just to
It motivates you.
yeah, absolutely, definitely motivates you to push,
I think
and it also gave that sense of belonging. and feeling as though that hey, maybe I've got the goods, maybe I should do this,
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to end up with. It's be in a community that constantly inspires you
Yeah.
to be more of yourself
True.
and supports you to do that, and you support each other.
100%.
I think that's what I loved about this, bro.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming, my man. We'll definitely be following you on Instagram, right? Solomon Davidson,
82.
82. You have to have the birthday there.
Just reminding people I'm an old fella.
Good. If that was the case, I'd have 76 after mine.